What if I told you that the real key to helping a dismissive avoidant feel safe in love isn't found in giving them more space, and it isn't found in walking on eggshells or trying to prove your worth? It's something deeper. It's something that has nothing to do with fixing them and everything to do with how relationships can become a space for healing. Because while avoidance may look like they don't need anyone, what's actually happening beneath the surface is a set of protective mechanisms. The protective mechanisms that are rooted in early emotional experiences, and those patterns, they don't change through logic. They change through experiences. They change through co-regulation, through what we call reparenting. And that's why in today's video, we're going to unpack what that really means and what it takes in real relationships for an avoidant to move towards a secure attachment. My name is Luna A. May, and I'm a life and attachment style coach and author of books on attachment styles. And my mission here is to help you recognize your emotional patterns and build secure, loving relationships that you truly deserve. And by the way, my newest book on avoidant attachment has come out on Amazon in July. So I encourage you to check it out. The link is in the description box below. But let's start with today's topic, and let's start with the big question. Can a dismissive avoidant become secure in a relationship? And the short answer to this question is yes, he can. But it doesn't happen from pressure. It doesn't happen through persuasion or performance. It happens when the relationship becomes a new kind of emotional experience, an experience that feels safer, an experience that is more regulated and more attuned than what they've known before. And that's where the reparenting comes in. When we talk about reparenting in the context of attachment, we're not just saying it's your job to be someone's therapist or to fix their childhood. That's not about this. What it's all about is about recognizing that most of avoidance defenses, so we are talking about emotional shutdown, the distancing, or the self-reliance, all these mechanisms didn't just appear randomly. They were learned. And often they were learned in an environment where emotional needs weren't met and vulnerability wasn't safe. So when you enter into a relationship with a dismissive avoidant, you're not just meeting an adult who's just bad at intimacy. It's not that. You're meeting a nervous system that learned that closeness leads to overwhelm. You meet a nervous system that learns that vulnerability leads to rejection and that independence is the only way to stay safe. And that's why reparenting isn't about trying to change the avoidant. It's about becoming someone who relates differently to those defense mechanisms. So becoming someone who doesn't take them personally. Someone who can see the wound behind the wall without trying to tear it down. Because when an avoidant finally feels emotionally safe with someone, when he feels safe enough not to be judged, not to be chased, not to be asked to explain themselves at every turn, that's when something begins to shift in them. So let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice. So first of all, we need to cover the co-regulation. Avoidants don't respond well to intense emotional confrontation. It doesn't help them to open up. It actually pushes them further into the shutdown. But co-regulation meaning your ability to stay grounded and steady, this can be really powerful because it says I can handle my emotions without needing to fix them. I can hold space without demanding a reaction. And that changes something because for an avoidant who's used to either being engulfed or emotionally abandoned, this calm presence is something new. It's a new experience. It begins to show their nervous system that connection doesn't have to be chaos. The second thing to do is to reframe distance as a signal, not a rejection. So when an avoidant pulls away, it's easy to feel hurt, to feel confused or rejected. But what if we could see that moment of withdrawal as nervous system signal, not a sign that they didn't care? So this doesn't mean you excuse unhealthy behavior. Of course not. But it does mean you stay connected to yourself instead of spiraling in stories about being unloved or unwanted. You model what it means to feel secure. And in doing so, you offer their system a new template, one that's grounded in safety, not reactivity. Another thing to do is encouraging vulnerability by making it safe, not expected. Because here's the truth, avoidant don't open up when you demand vulnerability. You probably know that already. They open up when it feels safe to do so. And that means you celebrate small emotional disclosures. You acknowledge growth without clinging to it. You don't reward vulnerability with pressure or heightened emotional demand, but instead, you hold it gently and allow it to grow at its own pace. Now, let's talk about you, because here is what most people miss about this whole process of reparenting. Reparenting isn't just about the avoidant, it's also about you. Because if you found yourself in repeated patterns with avoidance, there's often a wound of your own that needs tending. Maybe you've learned to overfunction or to prove your worth through caretaking or to seek love by being the stable one. In that case, your role in the reparenting process includes holding your own boundaries, slowing down the impulse to fix, and learning to stay connected to yourself even when the other person is distant. And that's the inner work. And it's what creates a relationship dynamic that can actually heal for both of you. And if this is a pattern you recognize, if you've been stuck in cycles of emotional giving, of trying to create connection with someone who keeps pulling away, I'd love to support you through my one-on-one coaching. In our sessions, we don't just talk about these dynamics, we rewire these dynamics and we help you shift into a state of deeper clarity and calm and connection. So you'll find the link to book a session with me in the description box below. But let's move to the fourth step, supporting autonomy while staying connected. A secure dynamic doesn't threaten the avoidance independence, it supports it without cutting off emotional closeness. You learn to say, I trust you to take space when you need it. And I also trust myself to stay emotionally connected to me in the meantime. And this teaches the avoidant that they don't have to disappear in order to breathe. The fifth thing to do is setting boundaries without punishing them. You have to know that avoidants are often used to ultimatums and not to boundaries. When you communicate a boundary with calm, with clarity, and then hold it without anger, without drama, it leaves an impact on the avoidant because that's not how most people have responded to them before. And if they don't show it, part of them starts to recognize that this person respects themselves and they still care about me. That's reparenting, not by becoming their parent, but by modeling what emotional maturity actually looks like. Now let's cover some questions that often appear in my coaching sessions. So the first question is, if I stay grounded and calm, but they keep pulling away, is it still worth it? Is it still worth the relationship? If you are consistently showing up with emotional maturity, staying grounded, communicating clearly, and respecting your own boundaries, but the other person continues to withdraw, continues to avoid the vulnerability, or make no effort to meet you halfway, then no, it's probably not worth it in the long run because a relationship can depend on one person. So reparenting doesn't mean waiting forever for someone to change. It means offering a healthier dynamic and watching what the other person, what avoidant does with this. How do they respond? So if they start leaning, even in small, slow ways, that's something to work with. But if you're always the one reaching, explaining, repairing, or accommodating, then you're not in a healing relationship. And you are just reactivating your own wounds. So ask yourself, does this relationship feel emotionally safe and growth oriented? Or does it just keep you stuck in survival mode? The answer matters more than their potential. Remember that. Another question that often appears is, can reparenting work if the avoidant isn't aware of their patterns? And the answer is, to a degree, yes. The nervous system doesn't need conscious awareness to register safety. But the true transformation does require some level of self-reflection on their part, even if it's slow or quiet. Your own clarity will help you see when that awareness is growing and when it's not growing. The last question that I often hear is, what's the difference between reparenting and overfunctioning? So, overfunctioning is when you take emotional responsibility for the entire relationship. And reparenting is when you lead with emotional maturity, but you still honor your needs and you are looking at the reactions of your avoidant. So, to sum up, yes, avoidance can become secure, but not through pressure, not through performance or trying to fix them. They become secure through safety, through boundaries, through new emotional experiences that shift the nervous system slowly over time. And if you want to go deeper, I encourage you to watch my other video, 7 Ways an Avoidant Tests You, because it will help you to understand the push and pull dynamic avoidance create and how to stop getting caught in it. Thank you for watching, and I see you there.